if you want to know some simple ways to help your child grow more resilient, let me tell you, there are some things that you can just allow for your child. The first is to allow what are called natural consequences. There in the world, there are two types of consequences. There are natural consequences and there are what are called logical consequences. Logical consequences are the consequences that people focus way too much on. These are things like punishments. They are additional things that are added to what a child has done. It's supposed to make sense. That's why it's called logical, but a lot of times they don't make sense. But these logical consequences are things that are added on to kids after they have done something disruptive or after they've made a poor choice. Natural consequences are things that just happen. Nobody had to do anything to the child for their disruptive behavior or for their poor choice. It just happened. Allowing natural consequences builds resilience, builds tolerance, and builds regulation of both emotions and behaviors. Let me explain. For instance, if a child forgets their homework and they don't turn, or maybe they don't forget it, they don't turn in their homework and they get a low grade or they get a 0 on that assignment. If you rush in and you call the teacher and you say, how dare you give them a 0? They shouldn't have to turn it in. They had it done, whatever it might be. And you take that away from them and you don't allow them to experience that natural consequence of dealing with the disappointment of getting a low grade, then you have taken away from them the opportunity to tolerate and regulate themselves. You rushing in and fixing it for them has told them that, as a matter of fact, not only was that not a mistake that they made, they can do it as many times as they want in the future. They can continue to not turn in their homework. They can continue to not get their homework done because you have shown them that you are just going to fix it for them. That every mistake that they have made, you're just going to rush in, fix it, and they're not going to have to face any of the consequences of those things. Allow kids to face those natural consequences. I had a parent who called me and asked what they should do because their child forgot to turn in a permission slip for a field trip, and the child was very upset that they didn't get the field trip permission slip turned in on time. And I said, well, it sounds like they're going to miss the field trip. And the parent said, you mean I shouldn't call the school and I shouldn't try to negotiate this for them? And I said, well, you can ask them if they want to negotiate and ask if they can turn it in the next day or whatever. But you rushing in and fixing it for them is not going to make them remember the permission slip next time. If you allow them to either deal with the disappointment of not going on the field trip or dealing with the difficulties of negotiation and asking and having maybe a difficult or uncomfortable conversation about this permission slip, then that will reinforce in their brain, you need to make sure you remember the permission slip next time. But if you just fix it for them, then their brain says, oh, well, that's not something we need to take care of. Great. All of us are trying to do the least amount of work that we possibly can. I love what I do. But in the end, at work, in life, we are all trying to do the least amount that we can in order to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. Kids' brains are no different. If they see, you know what, they're going to handle that for me, they're not going to adjust themselves to now start to handle it. They're going to say, oh, not my responsibility. Great. Let me back off. Allow kids to face some of those natural consequences. It can be things like the homework, like the permission slip. It can be things like falling off of a bike and not wearing the right, maybe they were supposed to wear pants instead of shorts. They were wearing shorts and they fell off and they scrape up their knee. That's a natural consequence. On the flip side of that, that also means you don't have to add on a punishment or add on another consequence for it. Just let them face whatever the natural consequence was and learn from that thing. So allowing kids to face natural consequences is a great daily way to allow them to build resilience. And there are positive natural consequences. They turn in the homework, the teacher says, good job. That is a natural consequence. They turn in the homework, they get a positive grade. That is a natural consequence. They turn in the permission slip, they get to go. That's a natural consequence. So let kids face both the natural consequences of their disruptive and difficult behaviors and poor choices, and let them face the natural consequences of their positive behaviors and their positive choices. It builds resilience and helps their brain form a connection to say, here's what we should do and here's what we shouldn't. Another thing that you can do every single day is to praise effort over results. Celebrate trying hard, even if the outcome isn't perfect. I love to do art. I am not a great artist. There are some pieces of art that I have done that I am very, very proud of. But most of the time, I am just scratching and doodling and just all over the place. And it is not something that's going to get hung up in a museum. But it feels good for me to do it. And as I've done it more, I've gotten better at it. If I would have just drawn one thing and not been pleased with it, thrown it away, and then never wanted to try again, then I wouldn't be developing a skill. I wouldn't be getting better over time. It encourages some perseverance if you will celebrate for them that, oh my goodness, I can see you tried really hard at that. Good job. Wow. You kept going. Oh my goodness. Wow. Look at that. You worked really hard on that. Not always does it have to be, oh my goodness, that's the best piece of art I've ever seen. We need to call the museum and get them to hang it up. It doesn't have to be that. It can just be, my goodness, I see how hard you tried on it. Maybe they played a game, and I talked earlier about the trophy mentality of either giving everybody a trophy or only giving certain people trophies, whatever it might be. Maybe they don't win the game. They lose the game, but you can look at them and you can say, you played so hard, like you were in there. I could tell. Look at you. You played much better this time than in your last game. What do you think about how you did? And praise that effort over just the outcome. Praise how hard they were trying, not just where it ended up in the end. And that builds that resilience. It tells them that effort it takes to get through a challenge is worth it, that there is reward even before you get to the end, because some challenges are challenges kids are going to face for a long time, years and years and years. So it's not about trying to get them to the end of it. If they see that, then they're going to say, no, I'm going to give up before I get there. But if they see that every step along the way was worth taking the next step, they'll keep taking that step, and that resilience will grow. Another thing you can do is just encourage independence. Let kids handle age-appropriate tasks. It could be packing their lunch. It could be solving small conflicts. It could be whatever. There's too many examples in my head that are all trying to get out at the same time. But one thing that I try to teach people is this mantra: I will do what you can't do. I won't do what you won't do. If it's just that you're not going to do it because you don't feel like it, me neither. I'm not going to do it either. But if it's something that is impossible for you right now, then I'll step in and take over that thing. So let kids pack their lunch. Let kids resolve conflicts. Let kids pick out their clothes, even if it looks silly to you. Let kids do the things that are developmentally appropriate for them. And over time, they'll be able to do more and more and more and more and more. Kids who build that resilience early are better equipped to handle major life stressors, like the pressure that comes from academics, struggles in social situations, or even failures that they go through later in life. That resilience also boosts confidence. It builds adaptability and problem-solving skills, and those are critical for success in both childhood and adulthood. So, try to implement some of these things into your daily routine. Allow kids to face those natural consequences, positive and negative. Praise some effort over just the outcomes. And encourage them to be independent with everything that they can be independent about. On top of all that, not just being able to do more, but emotional regulation that is developed through small struggles and age appropriate struggles can reduce the risk of mental health challenges like anxiety or depression as they grow. As you allow kids to face things and see, oh, what I thought was this big deal and what I thought was going to be the end is not, I can keep going, it allows them to see that they can do it. It builds confidence, and in the end, it builds resilience. Like, share, follow, and subscribe to help more parents learn how to raise resilient kids.